features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
We have just got out into the bush for this afternoon. We are enjoying a beautiful view. It's a warm afternoon, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Everyone, welcome to Safari Live. My name is Byron. On camera with me this afternoon is Seb. We've got Louise and Rebecca in final control, and then you would have seen Taylor already on the other vehicle, and then of course Stef on bushwalk. Now a big warm welcome to another 3 schools for our school drive this afternoon. We've got Hampton Oaks, we've got Rice Creek, and we've got Garrisonville Elementary. Lovely to have all of you with us. Now, please don't forget, everyone, we are completely live, so tell your teachers to send us through your questions and comments. We love hearing from you, and we'll hopefully answer as many of them as we can. I am in search of a leopard too this afternoon. I know Taylor mentioned she was going to try her best to find one. To also try this morning on this morning safari, we got to see a big male leopard. So I'm hoping that he might still be in there. And I'm not sure though, because this morning he was hiding in a bush. It was very difficult to see him, but maybe we get lucky this afternoon and we are able to find him. So stay tuned. We're hopefully going to see what we can find and maybe bump into some elephant and some other interesting creatures. Now, I think what we're going to do is I'm going through a bit of a dip here. Let me make my way on. Let's head over to my friend Stef, who's walking in the bush.
Hello and welcome to the bushwalk. Isn't this a lovely surprise? We've got elephant at the dam, and this is the first time I've seen elephant at this dam on foot for some months, since October last year, to be quite honest. This was the last time I saw elephants at the dam, and quite right, my friend Byron was saying we are on foot, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing for the rest of this afternoon safari, is walking you around Djuma Private Game Reserve and the Kruger National Park, one of the greatest wilderness areas left in the world. My name is Stefan Winterboer, and on camera today we've got Craig, and of course the ever faithful Rexon is looking after us today. So just have a look. This is a herd of elephants. Now a herd of elephants becomes, ooh, look there, we've got more elephants coming off to our right hand side. There's elephants popping out of everywhere. Excuse me, I didn't mean to walk in front of you there. So a breeding herd of elephant is when you have a female with a youngster. That's what you're looking at right there. That's a female elephant, and she's got a baby with her. And that noise I heard, there, listen. Did you hear that? That scream? That's a baby elephant that's not getting his milk. He's busy throwing a tantrum at his mom, who's cut off the milk supply and is forcing him to eat some grass. And he's having a bit of a temper tantrum because of that. Now you may be asking yourselves, is it dangerous to be on foot with elephant? Yes, it is. The elephant, an elephant herd, is for me the most dangerous animal to approach on foot out here in the Kruger National Park. It's the animal that you've got to be the most wary of. And it's because they're really scared of everything around them. They're nervous about their babies, they worry about this and they worry about that. And because they're so big, they can quite often start to chase you around. And human beings are not the fastest things out here. In actual fact, I think the only thing that we can outrun here with any sort of regularity would be a mouse or a squirrel or a tortoise. Everything else pretty much runs faster than what you can. And if you have a look at this tree here, you think, well, could you climb a tree? The answer to that is I couldn't climb this tree, and even if I could climb this tree, this elephant would just bump the tree over and catch me. A massive tree. Now, Ali, you wanted to know how big elephants are. Ali, if I were to stand next to this tree like this, and that elephant was standing here by me, her armpit, this part the front part of her body would be about here. And if it was a really big male, it would be about here. And the top part of their ears is around about there. So that's how big the biggest elephant in the Kruger National Park is. And I'm 6 foot tall. So you can go and put it next to your, when you are at home this afternoon, for you little ones in the class, those of you between 9 and 11, you can take the broom that you sweep your house with, go and stand outside next to your wall, lift the broom up above your head, put it against the wall, and where that broom's bristles touch the wall, that's how big an elephant is at the shoulder. It's massive, eh? Now these elephants are slowly coming down this way. They've been resting in the shade for most of the afternoon. These ones have come down to drink early. You can see them over there. They finished drinking and now moving off. Now Logan, you want to know how heavy elephant can get? Logan, the heaviest elephant that was ever recorded weighed over 20,000 pounds. 20,000 pounds. That is about 2 of the cars that your mom dropped you off at school with today. Can you imagine that? 2 of the cars that your mom dropped you off to school with today. That's how heavy the heaviest elephant is. Most of them, of course, are not that heavy. Most of them are around about half of that. So a big male in the Kruger National Park weighs anywhere between 10,000 and about 12,000 pounds. And the elephants that you're looking at over there probably weigh in at about 7,000, 6,000, 7,000 pounds. So still heavier than your mom's car. A massive, massive animal. The heaviest and largest mammal to walk on the earth today. That is what you're looking at. There have been heavier mammals. Of course, all the dinosaurs were a little bit heavier, Brontosaurus and whatever else they're called. But now, Arabella, you are kindly looking after my safety and wanting to know, am I not scared of the elephant stepping on me? I am actually quite scared of elephants stepping on me. But I have been walking around in the Kruger National Park for the last almost 20 years. It's 19 years this year, can you believe it? And one of the things that we use to keep ourselves safe is an ash bag. Now, why it's important is you'll see when I puff out the ash here, can you see the little puff of ash disappears? Now that is to test wind direction. One of the most important things with elephant is to test wind direction. You want to keep the ash coming into your face. And for that means the elephants can't smell you, and if you're far enough away and you're far enough away and you keep quiet enough, they don't even know you're there. And that is what we're doing now. The wind is blowing towards us quite quick. They don't know we're here. We're really safe. We're going to stay here for a little bit longer and show you some more elephants in a bit. But before Taylor's kudu runs away, rush off there and go and have a look at that.
Hello everybody, welcome. Of course, we're looking at a herd of kudu and a couple of other different antelope out here in Africa, and it is really hot. It is really quite wonderful, and I'm so excited, of course, to meet all of you. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Ferg, and I hope that you've got lots of questions about all the different animals. So remember, ask your teachers and then they will send through those questions. But let's quickly have another look at this beautiful big kudu before he disappears. Now, I must tell you that you are so lucky to see a big kudu bull of his size. Look at his horns. They're huge. We don't normally see massive kudus like this. And in this particular area, all the antelope that we see and the places we can drive on, this has to be the biggest one. We don't really see any sable around here, and we don't really see any eland either, which is another even bigger antelope. But I think that this is my absolute favorite one. He is gorgeous. Look at him. And now, can you believe that this animal just eats leaves, mainly eats leaves. Sometimes, like we had this year, we came out of a horrible drought where it was the worst drought. We had no rain for such a long time, and there was no grass, no leaves, nothing for the animals to eat. So as soon as we got a bit of rain and all the grass, which is the first to grow after the rain, the kudus were even eating that. But now, to see him out here, where it's really quite wonderful, is something actually exceptionally special. Isn't that cool? So send your questions through, and hopefully I'll get a whole lot of them, and I'll be able to answer all of them for you. He's going to disappear again. Should we try and get another view of him before he disappears into of course, the bushes? I think so. I think we should have one more look at him before he disappears. Now he's very, very interested in that girl kudu. And we'll see if we can stay with him for a little bit longer, but let's very quickly go across to Byron, who's got the largest mammal in Africa.
We do indeed have a look at this, the beautiful elephant. Now have a look, this is so wonderful because this elephant has been splashing around in the mud. Look at him, he's covered in mud and water. And he does that so he can cool down. Helps him cool down, also helps protect the skin. There's lots of green grass that he's busy feeding on there at the moment. But look at that, you can see how wet the skin is. Oh, this is a beautiful big male elephant, a big bull. You can see also he's used these tusks, it looks like, to possibly dig up some mud, loosen some mud. He may even have wallowed here a little bit. Oh, isn't that magnificent? Really, really great. Kylie and Amaria, you want to know why the elephant's ears are so big. Now, the African elephant ears are so big because the main reason, and if you watch him closely, look how he's flapping those ears. So that what happens is it gets very, very hot here. And those ears are used to help cool the elephant down. Now, not by flapping and blowing air over the body, but what happens is when they flap their ears like that, if you look closely, you might see there's a lot of veins running through those ears. It's a bit difficult to see now, but the ears are actually very thin. But there are a lot of veins that run through the ears, and they carry lots and lots of blood. So while this elephant flaps his ears, they basically cool the blood down in those ears. And that then circulates through the elephant's body, just like in our body with our blood that circulates through our body. Same thing with the elephant. But because that blood is being cooled slightly by flapping their ears, it helps cool the temperature down. So that's probably the main reason for those very, very big ears, those thin ears. Now, for those of you who haven't seen before, but you might have heard me speaking about elephants. Now, an elephant is one of my favorite animals. I love seeing these big elephant moving through the bush, and especially these big males. Well, this is really, really wonderful. Now, we've just got the male over here, but my friend Stef, who's walking in the bush at the moment, has got a whole herd of elephants he wants to show you.
We have got a whole herd of elephant coming down now. There must be at least 10 or 20 elephant, definitely more than 10. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 elephant that we've got around us at the moment. So for this particular part of the park, or part of this wilderness area, that's a decent sized herd. 12 animals. You can see there's some drinking on the one side, and have a look. They're drinking with their nose. So just to let you know that elephant's trunk is an extension of their nose and their top lip, and with it they can suck up about a gallon of water. Sometimes a little bit less. For the smaller elephants it'll be a bit less than a gallon, but about a gallon of water. Isn't that amazing? Now I want you to try something that we can show you at the moment. I want you to try and flap your ears. So some of you in your class are going to be able to flap your ears and move them. So have a look at my ear. I'm going to try and move my ear. I'm just moving my eyebrows at the moment. And I have massive ears. Now ask some of your friends in their class if they can move their ears. And then when you watch them move their ears, you give that a practice. And then when you think about what they're doing and you look at an elephant, you'll see how the elephants can flap their ears, just like Byron was showing you. Now while you're all absolutely laughing at your few friends that can flap their ears, Leah has asked, when do elephants get their tusks? Well, yeah, they get two different sets of tusks, just like you get two different sets of teeth. Their first set of tusks falls out when they're about a year old, comes in at a few months, and then falls out at about a year old. And then they get their second set of tusks. That's that large set of tusks that you can see. And those tusks last their whole lives and accelerate growth. So they get bigger, faster, the older the elephant gets. Now just think about that. They get bigger, faster, the older they get. Just the tusks. Isn't that amazing? So the oldest elephant's tusks are growing the fastest and are the largest. One would think with the size of my teeth that I've got some tusks. Hey, so big ears, big tusks, I might have some elephant in me. Hey. Now, we're standing over here for a very good reason, in that there's so many elephant so close to us over here. Now, we don't want to get any closer than this. We don't want to stop them from drinking, and we don't want to stop them from eating their food at all. We're just here to observe them. But you can see that there's a car down there. There's a safari car down there. They are very close to those elephants, and that is because a safari car has not hurt elephant at all. Elephants have got memories. I'm sure you've heard of the saying, elephants never forget, and that to a degree is very, very true. Their memory is incredibly good. And these elephants remember a time when they were hunted for their teeth, called ivory. Nowadays, only poachers and naughty people hunt elephant for their ivory, but at a time, ivory was considered a luxury good, like gold or diamonds, and people used to trade in ivory, and ivory is the tusks of the elephant. Alexis, you wanted to know if elephants have ever been an endangered species, and that actually falls right in with that question about elephants being hunted for their teeth. Alexis, yes, they were at a stage considered endangered. Their numbers went down to very low numbers. They've managed to come back, not from the brink of extinction, but they went down to very few elephants, and their numbers are coming back to a point where they're starting to be a lot more common nowadays in the parks than they were between the 1940s and the 1980s. It's just so amazing to see them, and have a look at that in those family groups, that herd that you're seeing there at the moment. So there'll be no big male in that particular herd. The head of a family of elephant is actually a lady, it's a female, and it's the oldest, strongest female. Sometimes you can get an older female elephant in a herd, but she's not the matriarch anymore. That's what you call the leader of a herd of elephant, the matriarch. It'll be the oldest, strongest member of the herd, and that is the elephant that will bring the rest of the family down to water when it's hot, show them all the secret places in the forest where their favorite trees are fruiting or have flowers on, what to do when it's flooding, what to do when there's fire, what to do when the food is run out. That the oldest elephant remembers that, and that is why, another reason why they say elephant never forget, is they can remember things incredibly well. Apparently, up to 35 years they can remember a single smell. Isn't that incredible? So they can remember a smell that they smelled 35 years ago. Now, I don't really have any I'm older than 35, but I don't really have any other relation. I can't tell you. It's 3.5 times older than what you are at the moment. Isn't that just amazing, hey? Very, very cool. Brianna, you wanted to know how long is an elephant's lifespan? Their lifespan are dictated to by their diet, believe it or not. Depending on what an elephant eats will determine how old they get. In this particular area, they eat grass all summer, lovely soft grass, but all winter they eat sticks and branches and bits and pieces of bark. This piece of bark was pulled off by an elephant right here and was stuffed into its mouth, and that will wear their teeth down. And when their teeth are worn down and they can't eat anymore, they will that's when the elephant will die. Basically, they starve to death, And so an elephant, when they get too old, if it hasn't had an accident or gets sick, will basically starve to death when their teeth have been completely worn away. Unfortunately, we don't make false teeth for elephants just yet. Can you imagine how big it would be? An elephant's one tooth is about as big as my hand. So if you take your two hands and you put them together like that, fist to fist, that is how big an elephant's tooth is, and they've only got 4 teeth in their mouth. 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Amazing, hey? But they do replace their teeth 6 times. So they don't replace their teeth like we do, only twice. They replace their tusks twice, but their molars, the teeth they chew with, they replace 6 times. Isn't that interesting? So if you take your tongue and you run them along the front of your teeth, and we're going to start in the middle, right? So you run the tongue from the front of your teeth, here, all the way around. Now, these teeth are what tusks are made of, incisors. Run them past your canine, that's the sharp one, your vampire tooth. Run it past your premolar, that's the tooth with the 2 spikes on. And I want you to put your tongue at the back of your mouth. Yeah, right at the back. The last tooth that you can feel in your mouth, the last 2 teeth that you can feel in your mouth are molars. And that's the only teeth that the elephants have in their mouth, are the molars. And they've got 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom, 4. And they replace those 6 times. But when they're finished, the elephant dies. Dies of starvation. In areas where elephant eat very soft material all the time, swampy areas, they can live up to 65 or 70 years old. In the Kruger National Park, where we are now, elephants live to about 55 years old. In areas like the deserts of Namibia, where they're eating hard sticks all the time, elephants will live to about 35 to 40 years old. So it all just depends on their diet. Isabella, you wanted to know if elephants are married, and that's quite funny. Elephants don't get married, Isabella. The daddies walk around and visit many different herds and will sometimes hang around and sometimes not. It's the job of the moms and the aunties and the sisters and the brothers and the cousins to look after all the babies. So this whole herd will be related. It'll be moms, sisters, cousins and young brothers. When an elephant reaches around about 18 years old, have a look there, they're kicking in the sand there, right to the front. When an elephant reaches about 18 years old, a male elephant, he will move off and won't be around his herd anymore and will visit very infrequently from time to time. Look at those elephants are playing in the water there. Now, elephant can swim. Look how dark that elephant is. Have been enjoyed a swim, hey? They can even go under the water and swim using their trunks like a big snorkel, sticking their trunks out of the water at the top and breathing through their trunks, and their whole bodies can be under the water. Amazing, hey? Kylie, you wanted to know if they take mud baths. Of course they take mud baths. Look how wet those elephants are. They love taking mud baths, and they love taking mud baths because the mud cools them down. The mud also sticks to parasites on their skins and then falls off, taking the parasites with them. And the mud protects them from the sun, like a sunscreen. So the mud does lots of wonderful things for elephants, and they really, really enjoy playing in it. Right, we're going to try and get a little bit closer to these elephants for you. They've now all moved on to the other side of the dam. And while we're doing that, we're going to send you over to Byron.
So I've had a look now in this area where we had that male leopard this morning. Unfortunately, it looks like he has moved off. It was quite cool this morning. It wasn't too hot. And leopards and lions, when it is a cooler temperature, when it's not very hot, they will still move around. But generally, they do rest during the day. Now, I don't know which direction he has gone. I'm hoping that he is still somewhere around. I might try and take a walk through the bush and see if I can find him. But I do have to be very, very careful because it is so thick at the moment. So we'll try our best to find him. I don't think he would have gone too far. There's also a dam that is not very far from us, and maybe he went there to go and rest in the shade and in an area where there's water that he can drink. So he might be around there. It's very, very difficult to say. But we will try our best. And I know Taylor's also in search of a leopard, so hopefully one of us has some luck this afternoon and is able to show you a leopard. Bless you. I'm just having a close look around here. Let's do a little loop quickly. But you can imagine an animal like a leopard that is so well camouflaged in long, thick grass like this, it would be very, very difficult to see it. Ellies, so the trick is we actually don't know where all the animals are. The animals move around. Now this, and you need to remember this, and this is very important for all the young kids watching, just to give you an idea of where we are. We are in a game reserve that is not like a zoo or anything like that, or anything like that. There are no fences around. These animals can move wherever they want. This is their natural habitat, their natural home. So they have the ability to move wherever they want. So it does make it very difficult to find them. However, what we do is we try and look for their tracks. So the footprints on the sand, or any sign of the animals that might have moved through the area, and that is the best chance we have of finding them. Sometimes though we might just be driving around and we bump into the animals, just like we saw that elephant earlier, or Stef maybe would have heard all those elephants walking towards the water, and that's how he managed to find them. So you've got to rely on your hearing, your sense of smell, and obviously spotting the animals. But it isn't very easy at all. Aaron, there is indeed more than one leopard in this area. Now, there's probably about 6 or 7 leopard that we see just on this area that we are in, but in the greater Kruger National Park where this whole game reserve is, there are hundreds of leopards all over, but they are very shy, elusive animals. They don't like to be seen very much, so they'll often hide away in thick bush or move away if they hear vehicles coming. They can disappear so quickly. They really are amazing, amazing cats. I was hoping that because it was such a warm day, there might be a chance that we got to see this big male lying in a tree, resting in the shade of a tree and possibly enjoying a cool breeze. So you never know, we might just find him still. But while I carry on my search, let's head back to Taylor and see how her search is going.
We finally arrived at Cheetah Plains. We've driven far and wide, and now I'm hoping, well, I was hoping that there were going to be some elephants here at the dam, but it doesn't look like there's anything just yet. And there's 3 of these little pans here, and if we don't come right, then we'll probably go and check the open plains. I have found a couple of other interesting things which we'll show you in a moment. Let me get to a good spot. There you go. We've got some Egyptian geese just down in the distance, which are really, there's actually 3 of them. So we'll have a look at them in just a moment, all the way down over there. There they are, all 3 of them standing in a row. Now, I don't know if they were swimming or not, or if they're just relaxing, not spending too much time in the water, because almost just as much time as an Egyptian goose spends in the water, it also spends it out on land. And that's because they do most of their feeding outside not in the water, so they love to eat grass. And in South Africa, they're actually a very, very big problem on the golf courses. They can completely tear up the fairways, and they also, well, there's so many of them, they really do become quite a pest. But out here, it's all right. We don't mind them so much. Many things like to eat Egyptian geese, so we don't ever have overpopulations. Young leopards, young lion cubs, even the adult lions and leopards, if they have the opportunity, will try and snatch an Egyptian goose up. Look at that. Flap of the wings, a flap of the tail. Normally when they stand and do that, and they start to call, it's a territorial display. So the males will do it. They'll open their wings, wave them about, and they'll also put their beaks towards the sky and start shouting. And shouting to everybody, saying, this is my watering hole. I live here with my wife. Do not come and try and take it. But I don't know who the wife is over here, because there's 3 Egyptian geese. Perhaps there's another male somewhere around here. There is so much water, so there's no need, of course, for them to be too territorial. And then if you go a little bit across to the left, you'll actually see that there's 2 antelope standing just at the edge of the water. And those are called Impala. Now, if you've been watching for some time, you would have seen many Impala. They are all over at the moment, and these are 2 boy Impalas. They've got the big horns. The girls don't have any horns, which makes it quite easy to tell the difference. Now, Kylie, you were wondering, and you have a question about the Egyptian geese. You're wondering why they're called Egyptian geese. Now, Kylie, if you look at them, we'll have another look. We'll try and get a close-up of one. Have a look how beautiful they are. They've got the most amazing makeup, don't you think? Let's see. If you look around their eyes, you look around their beaks, all over their face. You see that? It looks like they've gotten hold of my mom's makeup. But that's almost these amazing, beautiful markings on their faces. And that's one of the reasons why they're called Egyptian geese, Kylie. It's just because of their makeup. It makes them look like the pharaohs and all the Egyptians with their very much exaggerated eyewear. They're very cool though, aren't they? They don't seem too bothered. Like I said, normally they're making a huge noise, but today they seem to be quite quiet. Perhaps it's because it's too hot. Who knows? What could be the reason why they're not doing much talking? Even the Impala are just standing very still. I think it's very hot for the animals today. There's no wind or a very, very gentle breeze. And they're all just relaxing in the shade, waiting for it to cool down. And I think also hoping that nothing tries to come and eat them. But this is lovely, isn't it? Now, I want to carry on. I want to go and see if I can find some elephants or anything somewhere. Ooh. Louise, please can I have that question again? Sorry, I didn't quite hear it. Now, Journey, you're wondering if all Egyptian geese are the same color. They are indeed the same color. They don't change very much at all. Unlike with males and females and other bird species, sometimes you find that the males have got very, very pretty feathers to try and attract the girls. But it's not the case with the Egyptian geese. And you can even eat an Egyptian goose. I've never eaten one before, but they say that they are very tasty. Not out here in the wild, though. We leave these animals to be. Right. Let's go down towards the big open plains and maybe we get lucky and we find a cheetah, maybe an ostrich, maybe some elephants or a giraffe. It's very quiet out here at the dams today. And if we do find a herd of elephants, we're going to try and stick with them because I'm sure on a hot day like today, they'll maybe go swimming, they'll definitely go for a drink. We'll keep an eye out for some of those. And I know you already saw some with Stef and Byron, but they're my favorite animal of all time. So I'd love to see some today. I've been seeing lots of their footprints everywhere. So hopefully we'll find some. Let's go down. Which way are we going to go? Let's go left. Let's try this road. So Stef is having much more luck than I am today with finding elephants. He's on foot. Let's go have another look at them.
You know, it's not always the case. I must be honest with you. Sometimes you can walk around and see absolutely nothing. So it just happens to be where we are today. That is the last of this elephant herd that we've had with us for the whole afternoon. So far, at least anyway. That's a young bull. And it's quite nice to see how these young bulls react. We know that that's a young bull because he's hanging around at the back of the herd. Also, in profile, I want you to have a look at the top of his forehead. Now, I'm also standing in profile with you, and so I can show you that we know it's a male from long distance away by having a look at the curve of the profile of the forehead. So I want you to put your hands on top of your head with your palm pointing towards your nose, and I want you to drag your hand down to the top of your nose, the bridge of your nose, and you'll feel that the front of your head is curved. That is exactly a male's forehead profile. It's curved. A female's forehead profile is angled like the tip of your nose. If you feel your nose with your finger, when you go around the corner of the tip of your nose, it makes a sharp bend. That is how the elephant's forehead is. So round is a male and pointy is a female. Obviously the forehead profile. So from here I can see that that's a young male elephant, and they don't like to hang around with the herds of elephant. They don't like to be reprimanded by their moms. They don't like to hang around with their brothers and sisters who are still too small, but they've got no choice because otherwise they wouldn't be looked after. Am I making sense? Does it seem like your older brother or sister yet that is maybe slightly older in their teens, around about 16 or 17 years old? When you go to the mall or to the shopping center, you'll have your older brother and sister usually walking around, or definitely your older brother, definitely walking around either too far in front or too far behind, but nonetheless stuck with you. And that's exactly what's happening with this particular male right now. Now, Arabella, you wanted to know how old elephants are before they go out on their own. This particular male elephant is probably around about 14 years old, 12 to about 14 years old. He'll start to go on his own anywhere from about, well, what will happen, Arabella, is that he will gradually get further and further away from his family as he gets a bit older, to a point where he's about 18 years old, where he'll be so far away from his family that it won't matter if he all of a sudden decides to walk in a different direction. And that's exactly what he'll do at a point. He'll just walk away in a different direction. Usually what happens then is they wander around for a bit and they find a very old elephant to join. They miss companionship, but they don't want to be with their, we call it their natal herd, the herd that they were born into. And so quite often you find old male elephant accompanied by very young elephant that have just left the herd. Elephant just a little bit older than our friend over there. And they will be together for a couple of years, till that young male elephant is about 35 to 40 years old, and then he will be big and strong enough to be on his own. And they'll normally be on their own until about 50, and then they get joined by another young elephant. And for a couple of years in their old age, they'll be joined by young bull elephant, teaching them about the different things about how to survive out here in the bush. Female elephant, of course, never go on their own. Female elephant stay close to their mothers their whole life long. Violetta, you noticed that elephant moves its tail quite a lot. Well, Violetta, having a tail is quite a spectacular thing. You can swat at flies with it, you can tickle itches with it, and if I had a tail, I would be swatting myself with it all day out here, because there's a lot of things that bite and fly around and buzz and get stuck and wiggle on your fur, and having a tail basically just helps you to swish away those pests and create some peace for yourself. I like them as fly whisks. So if I had a tail, I'd use it as a fly whisk to keep flies away from my face with it. That's what I would use it for. What would you use your tail for if you had a tail? I'm sure some of you are thinking, I would swing from trees from it, I would curl up in it and keep myself nice and warm. I suppose there'd be 101 different ways of using a tail. In actual fact, when you were in your mommy's tummy, you had a tail for a few weeks. Can you believe it? We even have a tail bone inside of us. Now, Lorelei, you wanted to know how big an elephant footprint is? This big. So an elephant's front foot is about this big. An elephant's front foot is round and its back foot is oval. So let me draw it for you, Lorelei. I'm going to draw it for you here where we can, let me see, a big elephant's footprint. A big front foot is about as big as a garbage lid. That's a big elephant's front foot, and their back foot is oval. and that's about as big as a big elephant's back foot gets. So there is the back foot, B for back foot, and F for front foot of an elephant, and that's about as big as they get. Probably a little bit smaller than that. I might have been a bit enthusiastic there, but that's about as big as a big elephant's footprint. Now, let me put my back foot down there. You can see how much bigger my back foot is to that elephant's footprint, and I'm a size 9. Now, Aaron, you've asked me how can we tell what track belongs to which animal. Now, Aaron, I'm going to answer that question in 2 ways, because there's an easy way to answer it, and then there's a more advanced way of answering it. We know from the shape of the animal's foot what animal made that track. So we know whether it was from a lion or a leopard, we know whether it was from an ostrich or a giraffe, we know whether it was from a zebra or a wildebeest by looking at the pattern of the foot. Similar to how you, in a colouring in book, can pick out the square from the rectangle and the rectangle from the circle and the circle from the oval. Just like you pick up shapes, we can pick up shapes here. But now that's the easy answer. Now the more advanced answer is that we even go so far as to be able to identify different animals based on their footprint. So if you think to yourself, if you lift up your thumb and you have a look at the patterns on your thumb, it's called a fingerprint. And that is unique to everybody. Everybody has on this planet, all 7.5 billion of us, have a unique fingerprint. Animals at the bottom of their feet have a unique, not fingerprint, but a shape to their track. And if it doesn't have a distinguishing mark, like a scar or a skewed toe or a funny shape to the track, then they have a funny way of walking, or they've got a sore leg which gives them a limp and a slight drag. And the very, very good trackers, like my friend Rex, who keeps us safe over here, and a bunch of other trackers around, they are very good at determining what individual leopard or what individual lion, or in some cases what individual elephant even made that track. Isn't that amazing? To get people that can be so clever that they can decide what animal, what specific animal, individual, made a specific track in a species. Really cool, eh? All right. Taylor is in Cheetah Plains and she wants to tell you what she's been up to.
We've still been searching for those elephants and we haven't had much luck just yet, but hopefully we will eventually win. I can't believe how quiet it is out here on these open plains. I thought it would have been full of different animals. Perhaps they are still eating in some of the thicket areas. Oh, that's a pity. We're not going to let that get us down. We'll do a couple of loops through this lovely long grass because we don't know what could be laying in it. There could be anything laying in this grass. Even if I were to lay down in the grass, I'd completely disappear. But I'm not going to show you because there are lots of ticks at the moment, which are parasites that suck your blood. And I don't want to be covered in ticks after all of the rain that we've had. So we'll give that one a skip. Let's see what else we've got here. Not even a giraffe walking through these open plains. Those naughty animals did not get the memo that I said that I was going to be here at this time. It's very rude of them. But that's okay. We'll find some animals that want to be viewed. Let's see. We'll follow this road and see where it takes us. There's not even an Impala, and there's normally one wildebeest that lives out here named Gnorman, and Gnorman's even gone. Perhaps they're on strike. I don't know where they are. Protesting somewhere. Maybe there's a 2-for-1 special on at the animal shop. I'm not really sure, but that's just one of those things. That's what nature's about. But I think what we will do is, if we don't get lucky here, we'll go check a big dam at Chitwa, and then from there we'll come back to Djuma, because I think that there are plenty of animals on Djuma. On my way through, I saw many elephant tracks, giraffe footprints, so I'm sure that those animals are all hiding around somewhere over there. Let's see what we've got. Anything? No. Come on, animals. Be kind to us today. Not even any beetles on the ground for me to pick up and show you either, which is very unusual. Okay, here's another good stretch of open plains. I think we'll see some Impala around here, hopefully. Maybe some Kudu. Maybe buffalo. This would be a good area to see some buffalo. And there's also another big watering hole not too far from here, which we can always go and check. this afternoon, which is scan, and that's the most important thing when you come out on safari, is to scan with your eyes. Look from one side, look all the way around, check in the trees, check under the shady spots, because that's where you could have some of the big cats, leopards, lions, even a hyena or something sitting on the ground. So what we're going to do now is, sadly, we have to say goodbye to all of the schools that have joined us, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys keep watching, and maybe next time we'll have a leopard or a lion. But we'll see you soon, and let's go across to Stef.
Now that young male elephant that we were hoping come down to the pan has come down. I'm whispering because I don't want him to get too much of a fright. Sound carries very well over water, and what we want to do is share a moment with this big bull elephant. One of the very, very special things about being on foot out here and observing these animals doing what they would be doing if we weren't here is exactly what we're doing, and that is standing, watching, experiencing, smelling, feeling, touching everything that that animal is right now. Get yourselves ready for a nice screenshot there with his reflection in the water. Just really beautiful with the trees and the elephant. They can drink up to about 50 gallons of water. A big elephant will drink up to 50 gallons of water in a sitting. These elephants do not need to drink that much in any particular sitting. There's quite a lot of water around at the moment, and so they don't need to do that. But he's definitely drinking a lot. Probably looking at 2 or 3 gallons of water no, not 2 or 3, about a gallon of water, maybe half a gallon of water every time he's sniffing into the water, breathing it into his nose and then blowing it down his throat. And you'll notice he just takes water from the very surface. That's where the cleanest water is. And so he just uses the tip of his trunk to scoop the water up. Now he's finished drinking, going to carry on eating. This time of the year they're eating for about 16 hours a day. We're quite safe where we are at the moment because there's a big body of water between us and that elephant. Of course he could just walk straight through that water and wouldn't bother him at all. Tesla, you're only 6 years old, so firstly, hello to the show. Secondly, thank you for watching. And thirdly, you wanted to know how deep is that water. Now, what we can hope for is this elephant might go for a swim. And we're just going to start whispering now, because I really want that elephant to go for a swim. But you wanted to know how deep the water is. It's probably about knee deep on that elephant. So, if you have a look at the bottom of his belly, it's at its deepest, probably about the lowest point of his belly. Another elephant coming into the picture. Get your screenshots ready for the reflection. Remember to take photos. Label that photo with a date. And you're with a herd of elephant on today's date, and the location is Vuyatela Pan. Vuyatela, Vuyatela Pan. Just such a fantastic way to spend an afternoon, I must be honest with you. Zaz, I'm sure you're looking at that elephant and thinking the same thing I am. Well, you are thinking the same thing I am because you asked it. that how fast can that elephant run. Zaz, that elephant can run at 45 to 55 kilometers per hour, which is probably about 30 miles an hour. I'm not good enough with my conversions, Zaz, but 45 kilometers per hour. I've ridden next to an elephant in a car doing 45 kilometers per hour. It's about 30 miles an hour, just over 30 miles an hour. So much, much faster than what you or I could run. In actual fact, much faster than the fastest human on the planet could run. And this water between us and this elephant wouldn't be a barrier whatsoever. Now, as this elephant gets closer to our side, I'm going to be speaking a bit softer. And I'm looking for telltale signs that he's getting irritated with us. So the first thing is if that elephant had to stop what he's doing, and if that tail had to stop swinging and cock to the side. Right now, his tail's swinging, he's feeding, absolutely unconcerned. So we're very safe at the moment. Very, very peaceful afternoon, I must be honest. It's my best days out here, doing what I'm doing when we can be in very close contact. I'm close enough to actually smell the mud on these elephants. I can hear his footprints. I can hear him flapping his ears. Just wonderful. Now, we're going to have to make a bit of space for this elephant because I think he's actually going to recross this side. So what I want to do is walk to the other side of this barrier that we've got here. Watch out behind you, there's a big stump. And we're just going to give him some space so that we don't get ourselves caught out. Sometimes elephant can be quite mischievous. And what I don't want to do is create an incident with this elephant. We're just here to share the afternoon with him. And all we want to do is literally just be calm, collected, and have a nice time. So we're going to just stand here. There's a bit of a barrier here. We've got some stumps, not that they'll do much, but they are something. And then we've got this body of water. But you can see that that elephant has just stopped there and is feeding quite nicely. We're 100% safe, so for those of you worried about us, thank you, but we're all okay. In the meantime though, why don't you go and have a look at what Byron's been up to.
So Stef, you've had so much luck with the elephant. I've been looking for the leopard, but I've had no luck. Now, I got into that area where Tingana was this morning, had a good look around there, but unfortunately we didn't find anything. I also walked through that area, tried to check the drainage lines as much as possible. I do think he's in there somewhere, possibly just lying out of the heat of the day, but I'm not sure how far he moved this morning. The problem is it's so thick I can't see tracks which direction he's gone because it's just grass everywhere. The only way I'd probably find him is if I stood on his tail, if I walked through that bush, and I don't want to do that. So we had to move out, but I may head back into that area a little bit later. Maybe when it cools down he might pop out along the road somewhere. You never know. So we'll see, but let's see what else we can find. It's been a bit quiet in this area actually. There's not much going on. There are some, we're approaching little pools, little mud wallows. Maybe we find a buffalo or two lying about, wallowing, you never know. But it sounds like Stef has found every elephant on Djuma at the moment. I want to scan very, very quickly. I don't miss anything while we're out there, but it is difficult at times. But it is, I must be honest, it is so nice to see the bush looking in such great condition. It's very, very lush, very green. And I mean, those of you who've been watching for a while, you would have seen last year, the end of last year, it was September, October, how terrible the bush looked. It looked barren. It was quite heart-wrenching to see because of the drought. But you know, that is nature's way of maintaining a natural balance. The weaker animals don't survive, and only the strong will survive in conditions like that. I'm just going through a dip here quickly. Alright, well, let's head back to Taylor and get an update on her on Cheetah Plains.
I'm really quite concerned as to how, well, quiet it is down here. We've hardly seen anything, it's just every now and then the odd Impala popping out. Not even birds like we normally do. The monotonous larks seem to have moved on. I heard one calling down on the big open plains, but other than that, I'm completely blown away. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try like a Chitwa dam when we eventually get there. And if we don't get lucky that side, then we're going to come straight back to Djuma. I suspect that we're going to find lots and lots and lots of animals. And I know Byron said that he was looking for some elephants. There was a huge herd that extended from Spaghetti Junction all the way past Chele Pan and even further down along Twin Dams towards Wildebeest. So I don't know, Louise, if you can pass that message on to Byron, that there was a huge herd. I think maybe it could be the same herd that was on its way to the dam to drink, or there could potentially be more elephants on their way to the dam to drink. I'm just seeing lots of tracks this afternoon crossing the road going into Nkora, my goodness. Oh, and well, all I had to do was mention elephants. It seems as though Byron has managed to find those critters.
I have indeed, Taylor. Now, there's a small little group around us at the moment, but they're very close. And there's some youngsters that are very curious as to why we've come out to see them. Oh, look at this. It's always wonderful to see these young elephant interacting with each other. Now, it's interesting that one on the left looks slightly older, but if you notice, you don't see any tusks. Now that can happen at times where some elephant take longer to grow their tusks out, or might not even grow tusks. Now see the herds of elephant in certain areas can grow. Now look at this youngster. He's raising his head, trying to make himself look a bit bigger, smelling us. Now if this was a bigger elephant, I'd probably be a little bit nervous. But, or not nervous, I'd probably just give it a bit more space. But this youngster is just kind of testing us. That's how they learn. So Cedar, getting back to your question, how big some of these herds can get. I've seen herds in Botswana, 80 to 100 strong, but you can get herds even larger than that in Botswana and other parts of Africa. In these areas, I think the largest I've seen in the Sabi Sands, the largest herd I've seen is probably about 70 or 80 elephant. That was the biggest, but I think that was a few herds that all kind of congregated in the same area. Generally out here you get between 10 and 30 elephant, and that would be an average, but I can hear there are a lot of elephant around at the moment, quite far behind us. Listen, you might be able to hear them vocalizing. Every now and then you hear the what sounds like a stomach grumble, but it's not, it's a vocalization. It's like a grumbling sound that you hear, and that's the way they communicate with each other. They've just stopped now. These elephants are so peaceful, very relaxed, and they are loving this green vegetation at the moment. A lot of them, from what I've noticed, are all feeding on the grass. There's lush grass at the moment, long grass, So there's no need to really feed off leaves of trees like they do in the winter. They will still do it, but for the moment it's been a lot more grass that they've been feeding on. Beautiful light now this afternoon too. That golden light starting to come through. Would be ideal to photograph something like a leopard in light like this. But not yet. We still need to find one. Oh, it's such a magnificent, peaceful sighting. There are birds calling around us, some hornbills. You might not be able to hear all of them at the moment, but there's some hornbills, Cape turtle doves, emerald spotted wood doves, and then you can hear the branches breaking. There's elephant around us. I'm going to sit here a little bit longer because this is very, very nice. Let's head over to Stef, who's got a beautiful antelope he'd like to show you.
We are sneaking up on some Nyala, some male Nyala, and one of the most striking of the antelope around, as Byron was saying. It is a lovely afternoon this afternoon. We haven't walked very far at all. In fact, I can still hear our camp. That's how close we've been to it the whole afternoon. So everything's happening around here. Now what you're having a look at over here is a band of male Nyala made up of some youngsters and some old Nyala, some gentlemen past prime, and these male Nyala are having a bit of a show-off competition. It would be like bodybuilders on the beach, I suppose, all trying to strut their muscles in front of each other. So what they do is the youngsters will wrestle with one another, but the older guys will posture side on side and erect a crest of hair that frames their bodies. Now there's an older Nyala coming up on the side. He's going to horn some vegetation in front of these youngsters here. He's busy. It's called bush thrashing. There you can see that bush going crazy, and that's to show how strong and vigorous he is. It also can dislodge parasites that sit at the horn base, but generally horn thrashing or bush thrashing is a way of intimidating an opponent. And if you come a little bit side from here, a little bit to the left, you'll see his opponent is there. Now, the two of them together are purposefully standing next to one another and in side profile. It's called posturing. And there you'll see them posture up. And what's going to happen next is they're going to erect this crest of hair that frames their bodies from the side profile. And they're going to get all stiff. And their neck is going to arch and their tails are going to fluff out. And they're basically going to try and intimidate one another. And it's all just a way to basically avoid having to fight one another with those horns. They do have the horns for when an opponent is evenly matched. And if you have a close look at those horns, they're ivory tipped and super sharp. Can you imagine a 200-pound animal behind the tips of those horns, driving those horns forward with an intent to kill something? They can do some damage, and they will on the odd occasion kill one another, but usually the thrashing of a bush and the posturing and that erection of that hair along that ridge of their body, the one on the left hand side now, you can see that ridge quite nicely framed. That whole action is called a philo-erection. On the right, sorry, excuse me, other left. Oops, I've just been reprimanded by Craig for showing you the wrong one. Tony, you've just hit on a very nice topic. Do males ever cheat on mating rights for the females? Tony, yes, they absolutely do. Depending on the literature you read, up to 50% of the babies born in a year can be to opportunists. So 50% will belong to the most dominant male at the time. The other 50% will be these very clever opportunists that jump into the action once the males are engaged. So they do go into a rut, similar to how your deer would in North America or in other deer in other parts of the world. They go into a rut, and while one male is fighting another male in one section of the herd, quite often there's a sneaky male that comes in from the side and impregnates a female on the other side of the herd. Quite often these males are quite evenly matched. These two bull Nyala are very close to one another. I would say probably within half a year of being born of one another. No, a year of being born of one another. They are born in seasons, very similar to how all the Impala are born, and all round about the same time. And they're in very good condition. This has been a lovely year for them. The leaf cover has been healthy. And just look at this now. This one on the left is coming into the sun, the real left. And just have a look at those yellow socks, that shaggy fur, beautiful horns, stripes, chocolate color on their rump, little dots as well. Just a truly magnificent antelope. The Nyala, N-Y-A-L-A, the Nyala antelope. Very closely related to our Kudu, to bushbuck, to bongo. That is what Nyala are related to, the spiral-horned antelope. And are all browsers, so they just eat leaves even though they've got their face in the grass at the moment. There's an elephant busy screaming in that herd just behind us, a couple of 100 yards away. Terrifying noise actually. So these Nyala are ruminants. Have a look at that face in the sun there. Oh, get yourselves a screenshot of that. That is a Nyala bull in his prime. You don't get much better than that. Horns might be a little bit longer perhaps, body might be a bit thicker set, but you can hardly see his ribs. Good muscle structure in his back legs. Lean, not overweight. Very, very good looking Nyala bull that. And all of 30 yards away from where we're standing. Isn't that incredible? And that's mainly because these Nyala enjoy this area close to the camp and are used to people's voices and are used to the movement of people. If I were to walk up to a Nyala in some of the wilder places of the park, it definitely wouldn't be like that. They'd see you from a couple of 100 yards away and already start to run away. But right here, as long as I'm in the open and we don't move around too much and I don't face the antelope directly, if I turn away and act submissively, he will quite often just carry on with what they're doing without worrying about us at all. That's exactly what he's doing there. And one time in this part of the park, you didn't really see Nyala. When I started in 1998, I saw 3 Nyala bulls, and I didn't see another Nyala for almost 10 years before I saw my next Nyala. And that was on the Sabi River. And when I've come here to the northern part of the Sabi Sands 2 years ago, I was astounded at the amount of Nyala that are here. So really nice to see. Right, we're going to stick around with whatever's around this particular area for the rest of the afternoon. In the meantime, you're going to be going off to Taylor, who's managed to arrive at the Chitwa.
We have indeed. I'm actually on the runway at the moment, as you can see. However, I was a bit disappointed that we didn't see any wildlife on Cheetah Plains this afternoon. Perhaps I just kept missing everything. So I thought, in order to make myself feel a little bit better, I better come to the one spot where I'm almost guaranteed to see animals. Now I say this, and I just have the suspicion that today there will not be one Impala on this open area, sort of just west of the airstrip. So far I haven't seen anything yet. What have I done to chase all the animals away that nobody wants to be seen by me? I don't know, but I wish it would stop. I'm sorry, nature, if I've done something to upset you. I'm very sorry. Please show me animals. Please give us animals. Nothing just yet. Let's check to the right. Aha, okay. Whew. Not as many Impala as we normally see, but we'll go around to some just on the right. They're very much far away off into the distance, so we'll just head around on this road and then we should get a nice view of some Impala. Alright. Let's see what else is here. No Kudu this afternoon either. Goodness, yesterday there were all sorts of things running around here. There were some zebras, there were warthogs, there were impala, lots of kudu. I've just spotted a kudu. Oh, I've spotted many. Here they are, they're hiding, that's why. Naughty animals. They're supposed to come and meet me halfway so that I can arrive and see them at eye level. But you can see there are many animals. Not as much variety, but the impala are most certainly here, and there's one kudu. I find every time we come to this area, there's always an abundance of impala, and it's a very good area. I'm surprised we don't see cheetah around here. This would be another good spot to spot some cheetah, and of course it would be an area that they'd surely be attracted by with all the animals that live around here, and particularly the impala. Ah, so Tristan apparently actually used to see cheetah around here when he used to work at Chitwa. Okay, that's exciting. I wonder which cheetah he used to see. At the moment, though, nothing, barring a couple of birds here and there, and then, of course, mainly all these impala. They're moving off now. There seems to be, not all of them. Some are doing their own thing. Some are eating. Others are already crossing the airstrip, heading towards some thicker vegetation. Very quiet, no monotonous larks. Just a go-away bird, shouting every now and then. Right, let's carry on, let's continue going. We'll have a look at some of these impala under all the beautiful marula trees. That might be quite nice. Let's just get a different angle of them. Now, remember, this is a live and interactive safari, so if you have any questions for us, the best way to get hold of us or send your questions through, or any beautiful screenshots that you've perhaps got for us, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Hello, guys. Afternoon, Impala. Afternoon. No, don't run. That's not very nice. We'll try and roll in over here. Let's see. I'm just going to roll down these little bumpy spots. We'll get to a nice view where there will be loads and loads of impala standing under these trees. Hello, kudu. Look, there's a kudu right here. And a hop, skip, and a jump. I'm going to roll forward so we get a proper view of her. She's just... Go, Rusty, go! No, but she's going to bound about anyway. See, not all the animals were comfortable with us. Just some of them. That's a lovely view with that golden light. I always love backlit kudu, especially their ears really, really do pick up on that light so nicely. They are lovely creatures, aren't they? And there are many of them. They're not all standing right on top of each other like we often see the impala doing. They're all spread out, doing their own thing. And there's actually a couple of oxpeckers sitting on these kudu that we're looking at as well. They're bounding around on their backs. There might be a juvenile there. I can hear a bit of commotion going on, so it might be the youngster chatting away. Yes, it's definitely a young one. Hello, girl. Very curious, staring straight towards all of you. Can you see that? Does it feel like the kudu is looking deep into your eyes? To me it does. But I don't think she's actually looking at the camera. I think she's looking at the front of the car. But that is really cool. Look at that, working her nose. See how it's wiggling about? Using a combination of senses, her hearing, her eyesight, as well as her sense of smell, trying to figure out exactly what we are. That's really cool, actually. You don't often get to see them using all their senses in one go. And on a day like today, when there isn't very much wind, they are indeed able to do something like that. When it's windy, it becomes a little bit more tricky. They are limited to the senses that they can use, really just relying on their eyesight. Hey, beautiful oxpeckers. They're hard at work, looking for something to eat. And as we can see this, we can even see all the flies and things that are buzzing around the kudu, which will be causing serious irritations, because these are all those little biting flies. Well, most of them are those biting flies. And I know how unpleasant they are. Just nibbling on some small little shrubs. It is so peaceful out here. It is quiet. It is weird. It's eerie. I miss the woodland kingfishers. I miss the monotonous larks. Turtle doves, please save us, by a whole lot of you going into a chorus and singing. We need it this afternoon. Hopefully we get a good Oh, there's a pill-spotted owlet calling. Just doing its call in the very, very far distance. It's amazing how sometimes nature is so quiet. Now, a few of you have said that it looks like the Kudus have had a sip of milk and have a milk moustache. I think they do look like that indeed. They've got beautiful moustaches. They're Impalas. They've also got quite nice moustaches. They're perhaps the Kudu where there's the best, even the girls. And I think this will be the only female that you can comment on and say how great your moustache is without them getting insulted. So, good for you, Kudu. I think if you had to show that to a person, you'd find yourself in a lot of trouble. That wouldn't be very nice at all. But we can compliment the animals on their moustaches. Right, let's go around towards... Oh, hang on, there's a little Kudu, a tiny little one standing amongst some Impala on that little termite mound. Now that's really funny to see because Mom's not really anywhere close by. She's all feeding in the distance. And we see it a lot with the different antelope species. We're going to very quickly go back across to Stef on bushwalk and see what he's going to get up to.
It feels like I'm in a zoo today. It's definitely a remarkable day for spending time with animals, in close companionship to animals. Here we have a herd of wildebeest. I think this is the same herd of wildebeest that we've been seeing for a couple of seasons now. And you had all those little babies last year. Definitely a lot bigger this year. And we've got zebra. And they're on top of quarantine clearings. And as Rexon was quite rightly saying, is this year there's going to be no need for grass cutting on top of quarantine clearings, which is a usual habit. Not only does it act as a fire break, a very effective fire break for the camp in this area, but also has an attractive effect on zebra and wildebeest. This year, unnecessary. These animals have kept the grass so short in this particular area. It looks like a golf green to start with. It's all these hungry mouths. Wildebeest coming in first, eating the tops of the grasses, and the zebra coming in behind them to eat the bottom of the grasses and the leaves. And they both help one another, scan for danger, and so it's a symbiotic relationship called commensalism. Now these are different to the wildebeest that you see in East Africa. These are the brindled gnu, and if we go all the way to the left hand side gnu, this one, these two that are standing closest to us, you'll see on the shoulders, you'll see a stripe and a lack of a significant white beard. So they've got a black beard and a vertical stripe on their necks and their shoulders. There you can see it, absolutely perfect. That is the brindle that gives the brindled gnu its name, and that is a beautiful bull gnu. This is his herd and they're on his patch, and it looks like he's trying to mate with this one. Let's see. They've had their babies now. The females are weaning their calves. It is almost time, if not time already, for the bulls to mate with the females and set the stage for the next round of calves to come out next summer. Those birds you're hearing in the distance, those are crowned lapwings. I'll have a look at some of them now. And there's the dust from those zebra, one of them having a bit of a dust bath in the back there. Good friends with one another. Not that they'd come to each other's aid, although it's not uncommon for you to see zebra sort of attacking things like cheetah, single lioness, leopard, jackal. Look at them. It's a very, very awesome sighting. Mumble Rocks, you've just asked me if the zebra and the wildebeest get along. They absolutely do, as you can see from the sighting that we've got pretty much over our shoulders over here. They're not the best of friends with one another, I don't think. They're not going to, they're not going to help each other have babies or defend one another from lions, so to say, but they definitely don't mind being in one another's company, and that is primarily because they don't eat the same portion of the grass. The wildebeest like to eat the top of the grass, and the zebra like to eat the bottom of the grass, and together they look for lion and leopard and cheetah, and so they help one another in that sense. So they're not in competition for the same food source when there's a lot of food around. When there's not that much food around, you don't see them hanging around together like this. And of course, in areas where you have vast unbroken plains, where you don't have a lot of river systems, where you don't have a lot of hilly and undulating terrain, and when you don't have a lot of forests, all of those factors, including having a very healthy grass cover from the rain, make herd size pretty much uncapped. Herd sizes can get enormous when you have those factors. We're talking about reindeer herds up in the tundras. They reach 1 million, 2 million animals. We're talking about historic animals like springbuck that used to migrate in South Africa. We're talking about tens of millions of them. They don't do that anymore, but tens of millions of them. We're talking about these wildebeest and zebra migrations in East Africa, Kenya and Tanzania, that are easily over 2 million animals at a time. And then we get these conglomerations of animals. This is about as big as what I've ever seen a conglomeration of zebra and wildebeest in the park, in this area at least anyway. There are other areas in the park where they get slightly bigger, maybe double, but that's about it. But you can see that the youngsters have settled down and are even lying down. Shows you that they're completely unfazed with us being here. It's just such a fantastic way of actually interacting with these animals when they don't care that you are here. Alrighty, why don't we go and see what Byron's been up to.
Stef, I'm sitting with elephants still because it's such a beautiful sighting. It's so calm and peaceful. There's a lot of bird calls around us, but a lot of elephant. There was a big bull that just moved through here. Let's see, maybe we can find him again. I'm not sure where he went. Why don't we go and have a look quickly? And look at the light. Isn't that beautiful? It's a beautiful female. You can see all these elephants have been dust bathing a bit, throwing a lot of sand on their backs, help cool them down, or keep them cool, and to also protect their skin a little bit from insects. I think, why don't we go see if I can find that big bull for you? Let's go have a look. Stick with us. He seemed very, very relaxed, and it's always nice to find a big bull like that. Where did he go? There he is. I can see him. His head towers above these. He's off to the left. You can just see, look at that. Just through there you can see his head sticking out. There we go. See that? Beautiful big bull. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. He's moving through the thick bush at the moment. I think we'll be able to have a better view of him. Unfortunately, not from this angle. Definitely not. Oh wait, he's coming this way. Let's sit tight. Yeah, let's sit tight here. I'm going to give him a little bit of space. I'm just going to pull off the road. Okay, let's see. He's coming this way. Let's sit quietly and wait. And see if he comes out for us. Oh, look at that. This is a lovely big bull. just going to sit very, very quietly. See how he reacts to us. Oh, he's massive. Don't worry, we're just having a good look at you. See, he just wanted to make sure we weren't a threat. Completely comfortable with us. How amazing was that? And it's by far my favorite. By far my favorite. He's very peaceful. He's just sussing us out. Possibly spelling us. But not phased at all. And off he goes. I think that's quite an old bull, judging by the indentations on his forehead. Those beautiful big tusks. I think he's around 40, 45 years old, maybe. It's always difficult to gauge an age, but I think he's right up there. He's a bull in his prime. It looks like it. He's still very strong. His tusks aren't broken. He's a magnificent bull. We've been so lucky with the elephant the last few days. And I know all of you know they are one of my favorite animals, and I've been very fortunate, you know. I think if you're sensitive towards elephants and you understand their behavior a bit better, I always find they tend to stay calm, and they don't get very aggressive. You do always have to be careful, and as I say, show them respect, because they are massive animals. But like this bull, I mean, walking right past us, we stopped, we sat quietly, we didn't get in his way. That's why I reversed off the road, so he had a lot of space to move wherever he wanted to. And that's the key with viewing a lot of elephants, is just give them space. If they choose to approach you, it's a different story. But don't go and park right in front of them and look at that. You get amazing sightings like that. Now let's get to Stef on the walk, and he has herds in the sunset. Sounds like a painting.
We do have herds in the sunset, and we're basically just sticking around because it's such a fantastic view with them silhouetted against the sky that we couldn't go anywhere without saving some for you for your screenshots for today. Just these deep summer skies, brilliant golden light, green bush, healthy animals, foliage on all the trees, and then animals silhouetted in it with sweat upon our brows and thick humid air. It's 93% humid today, so it is a very sticky day, and the sky is brilliant and clear. Sun is going to go down in a brilliant golden orb tonight. And just have a look at those zebra and wildebeest in the distance, kicking up a fine layer of dust on these plains that they've managed to keep short, all just through eating. In fact, I can't really even look at that anymore. The sun is burning a picture into my eye at the moment. Just really pretty. It is very pretty, hey? Sun about to set on the Drakensberg Mountains around the back of us. Just beautiful. It's always good to take your time and to experience these moments when you have them, to be honest with you. They're not that common. And to be this close to these animals and to have them so relaxed with us, and to have the sunset and this dust and the green, have them silhouetted against the sky, it's not something that you can bypass. It's one of these things that you have to celebrate in life. Don't bypass moments that you can sit and remember forever, and this is definitely going to be one of those moments that are going to be tough to forget. Craig doing a fantastic job of holding his breath so that you can see what's going on there. sun just burning into the top right hand side of your screen. Probably got another sort of 10 minutes or so of light. We're definitely going to spend these next 10 or 15 minutes with these wildebeest, so don't worry, you will come back. In the meantime, Taylor has found something even more magnificent.